Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Amex Exploration's announcement of our PEA, Preliminary Economic Assessment done on the Perron Gold Project in the Abitibi. I'll make a few introductions with who's on the call, and hopefully we'll have some more people join us on the webinar in the next couple of minutes. So my name is Aaron Stone. I'm the Vice President of Exploration for the company. Also on the call with me today, we have Victor Cantore, the President and CEO of Amex Exploration, as well as Jonathan Garnier, who is our VP of Project Development. For anyone that may not know, Jonathan is recently joined the team in the last 5-6 months. He's a mining engineer and was most recently on the Greenstone mine build out in Ontario. So his goal here is to turn the Perron Project into a mine site also. So I'll share my screen here. Everyone should be able to see that now. As just as a quick piece of information, we will be holding a question and answer session, Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So you should be able to see at the bottom of the Zoom call a button that says Q&A. So if you did have any questions for the management team during the presentation, please type them into that Q&A box, and we'll do our best to get to those at the end of the presentation in the Q&A session. Usually we do have a lot of questions coming through, so we do apologize if we don't get to your specific question. And if that is the case, we apologize for that, but feel free to reach out to our info@amexexploration.com email, and we will get back to you with an answer on that question if we do happen to miss it in the Q&A session. So I'll jump right in today's presentation of the PEA on the Perron Gold Project, which obviously myself and the management team are very excited by, with today's numbers coming out of the press release. So we'll dive right into it. I'll obviously be making forward-looking statements, of which this full statement can be found on the Amex Exploration website, as well as the qualified person and disclosure statement that was found at the end of today's press release. So just a quick reminder on the project's location, as it is important to remind people of this because it really helped drive the value at the Perron property for today's PEA, given its exceptional project location. As you can see, the Perron property is located smack bang right in the middle of the Abitibi, both a 7 to 8 hour drive from both Montreal and Toronto. And we're surrounded, as you can see, by gold and VMS mines in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. So we have the Casa Berardi mine only 60 kilometers directly to the north of us. Detour Lake is further to the north on the Ontario side. And our strategic partners, Eldorado Gold, are located not too far away, about a 2.5 hour drive from the Perron property down in Val d'Or in the southeast. Why is property location so important? This image speaks volumes to that. We're located already in an existing mining town that was built for the historically producing VMS and Normetal mine. So we have a town already in place that we operate within. As you can see here, the electrical transformer station is directly located right next to the town. That not only powers the town of Normetal with clean hydroelectric power, but also powers the Casa Berardi mine to the north of us. And the closest point off this power line to our ore deposits, which are located just in the background of this image here, is only 4 to 5 kilometers. So it's greatly aided us in keeping the operation with a low capex and low opex. So today's highlights coming out of the PEA press release from this morning: a 1,750 ton per day production rate out of the processing plant over a life of mine of 10 years, with a diluted grade of 5.26 grams over the life of mine, keeping in mind that the high grade zone is well in excess of 10 grams. So this is a diluted grade for the mine life. Years 1 to 5 of the mine life really focus on that high grade material. So we have a diluted grade of almost 6.5 grams per ton in the first 5 years of production. The average annual production over the life of mine is a bit over 100,000 ounces a year for a total of a bit over 1 million ounces of gold production over the life of mine, with an increase in that average annual over the first 5 years of 124,000 ounces per year for a total gold production in the first 5 years of 620,000 ounces. The all-in sustaining cost was a really important number for us, came out at $807 US an ounce, and $739 over the first 5 years. Today's the capex is a really important number for the PEA, and that came in at 229 million Canadian, which we'll elaborate a bit more on in the following slides. The internal rate of return was sitting at 59.5% pre-tax and 40.2% after tax at a gold price of $2,000 US per ounce. And the NPV pre-tax is sitting at $948 million pre-tax and after tax at $525 million. The payback period for the mine is really a highlight for this PEA as well, sitting at 1.5 years pre-tax and 1.8 years after tax. So jumping into the mining scenario now, which you can see the mine plan over on the right-hand side here. It's a combination of open pit and underground mining over the 10-year mine life, with really a focus on the underground operations. You can see the high-grade zone has been extrapolated in today's PEA down to a vertical depth of 1.4 kilometers. All the pits are to be mined out in the first 4 years of operation in this PEA study, and this is to facilitate for the management of tailings storage. So the tailings that will be coming out of the process plant will be captured within the open pits of the Perron operation, meaning that we don't have to build our own tailings management facility, which greatly helps out not only with the capex, but also with the permitting process as well. That will really help out from an environmental standpoint also. The underground mining method is to consist of very traditional longitudinal long hole stoping with the cemented rock fill. So not reinventing the wheel here, very standard underground mining. The average stope size you can see here has a width of 5.7 average width of 5.7 meters. So really perfect widths for that conventional long hole stoping method. The grade you can see here for the open pit mineralization sits at just below 2 grams per ton, which is a really good grade for open pits. And the underground mineralization is sitting at 5.65 grams per ton, keeping in mind that that is a fully diluted grade over that 10-year mine life, with the high grade zone sitting well in excess of over 10 grams per ton. So today's mine plan has been optimized to focus on the high grade material in the first half of the production profile. And this is largely due to the high grade zone starting at a very shallow depth below surface. That super high grade material in the high grade zone only starts at roughly 150 meters below surface. So we don't have to go too deep to get into that super high grade mineralization right in the start of the mine life. Moving along to the processing now, as I mentioned before, 1,750 ton per day process plant to be built directly on site. So this is envisaged to be a standalone operation. Jaw crusher to be followed by a SAG and ball mill with a gravimetry and carbon and leach processes. So a very, very standard and proven process that is widely used across the Abitibi region. So we haven't tried to reinvent the wheel with the flow sheet here. It's a very standard flow sheet that all the existing experts already based in the Abitibi will already have an extreme understanding of. The results that we previously have gotten back from our metallurgical results have showed a very low sulfur content in the mineralized material. This will greatly aid in enhancing recovery and also decreasing the cyanide consumption in the processing plant. The assumed recovery used in today's PEA was 95%. And that keeps in mind that results that we had from the metallurgy from the high grade zone got all the way up to 99%. But a a more conservative 95% was used for today's PEA study. But that's not to say that when push comes to shove, we may even see an even higher recovery from that out of the processing plant. And the mineralization has a low potential for acid generation. Again, another positive that came out of our metallurgical studies. So if we look at the gold production over the 10-year life of mine here, as I mentioned, a bit over 100,000 ounces for a bit over 1 million ounces in the total life of mine, with a focus on that first 5 years of production of 124,000 ounces. You can see in the years -2 and -1 are the pre-production period. So we do have some gold production coming out of the open pits that are planned to be mined in the pre-production period to provide room for that tailings management facility as soon as we go into year 1 of production. So taking a look at the infrastructure on site now in our 3D model that we've had built here. So from the Team pit in the very east to the Gracien pit in the very west, we're at a strike length of actually a bit less than 3 kilometers. So all of the infrastructure and the pits are extremely located in extremely close proximity to one another here. So a made-up word I like to use, the closeology is really good here. And if I spin the image back around in this direction, you'll see the town of Normetal in the distance over there. So only a few kilometers away. If we now dive into the processing plant, zoom into the processing plant, sorry, which is located right next to the underground portal here. You can see the layout and design of the process plant, which this will all be on our website later today if you want to spend more time going through the 3D model here. Now diving underground, you can see the pits as well as the underground operation that has been planned out in today's PEA. As I mentioned, the high-grade zone has been extrapolated with the underground stopes down to a vertical depth of 1.4 kilometers. And if I spin the model around here, bear with me a second, you'll see the vertical nature of the high-grade zone you can see there, which really helped out keep that OPEX cost low due to the vertical nature of the body. You can see it's dipping at 89 degrees to the north, so essentially vertical. So a mining engineer's dream here, and that really helped out with the numbers in today's PEA. And now for an overall view of the entire operation for the preliminary economic assessment. You can see the underground operations with the open pit and the proximity of all the operations close to one another. So moving along to the CapEx and OPEX, as I mentioned, the CapEx numbers coming out of today's PEA is at $229 million Canadian. This consists of a construction cost of $291 million, less gold sales of $62 million during the pre-production period, which comes from those pits that will be mined out during the pre-production period, as I mentioned. Quotations were obtained for most of the large equipment in the processing plant from reputable suppliers. So today's CapEx figure is a really solid one. The sustaining capital is sitting at $238 million over the 10-year life of mine. And the OPEX is sitting at $174 an ounce Canadian per ton milled, which translates to $807 US per ounce. Taking a deeper dive into the financials now, which we were really impressed by with today's PEA. We're really seeing that the economics of the project are extremely robust. So at a base case of $2,000 an ounce US, I mentioned the pre and after tax IRR numbers and pre and after tax NPV numbers up the top here. With the pre and after tax payback periods both being less than 2 years, which we're extremely pleased with the very quick turnaround time on paying back the capital expenditure here. If we were to look at today's spot price at $2,600 US gold, you can see that Pre-tax free cash flow moves up from 1.3 billion to 2.2 billion. The after-tax NPV moves up from 525 million Canadian to 914 million. And the after-tax IRR goes from 40.2% to 59.7%. So today's spot price in US dollars, the project is extremely profitable. Even at a gold price of $1,500 US per ounce, the project still remains profitable with a after-tax NPV of $231 million and an after-tax IRR of 22.8%. So the economics in today's PEA are extremely robust. Last but not least, the resource growth potential that exists across the Perron property. Everyone should keep in mind that today's PEA and the MRE that was released on the 5th of September this year were based on the drill database that was cut off at the 30th of June this year. Since that date, we've already added another 28,000 meters in drilling, and some of that drilling already has the potential to add to the ounces of today's PEA and the resource from September. So you can see that we included in today's press release some examples of how we see the PEA and the resource potentially growing already in the immediate future. So you can see that some of the intercepts reported since the 30th of June have been intercepted in where we have a gap in the economic stopes. This is an example from the high grade zone, and an example on the left-hand side here is from last week's result, where we had the highlight figure of 134.5 grams per ton over almost 2 meters from an extension of the central polymetallic zone. And you can see the current resource is 75 meters and 100 meters away in both those directions. So with further drilling, we see a great potential to add those high grade ounces to the existing resource at Perron, in addition to obviously making additional discoveries as we move forward with the project. So that brings me to the end of my presentation, which I got through fairly quickly. So we'll open it up to question and answers for myself, Victor, and Jonathan, who were all on the call. So I'll just start to have a look through those, and please,
Yeah,
Victor,
so I saw there's thanks Aaron for that. So there is a first question that came in is what Canadian dollar US dollar exchange rate was assumed. So that number is $1.35. We stayed conservative. I do believe it's probably ranging around $1.39 right now. And the other question is, what is the NPV and AISC sensitivity to Canadian dollar US dollar exchange rate as the Canadian dollar is weakening rapidly? The sensitivity analysis that we did it with the price of gold, and not we have the price of gold, how it impacts the financials on it. We did not do a sensitivity analysis to the AISC and NPV. It's something that we can do and put out at a later time. And if there's any more emphasis on that question, please feel free to email us. We'll definitely be able to answer any of those questions. There's another question with Jonathan. I'll let you answer that one. It was saying which firm completed the PA study. I think there were multiple consultants, so I'll let you.
There were multiple, and indeed the mining group who was in charge of that was they call it Evo Mine for all of the mining and economic. For all of the processing is the Bumigem, all of infrastructure is Alpha, and the resource is Gold Mine as per the resource estimate.
Great, thanks. There's another question that came in also, same, it's kind of the same thing. It says, who is your engineering service provider responsible for the report? It's all the service providers that Jonathan provided. And I do believe it's also on the should be at the bottom of the press release, I believe, right? We'd have to report that. It's all in there, Aaron or Jonathan?
Yeah, that's exactly
okay,
right. All the QPs at the bottom of the press release, exactly.
Great.
So we've got I'll let you answer the next question, Victor. What is the current cash balance, and do you have plans raising additional money for drilling anytime soon?
Look, what I've said all along is that we do have money to last us all the way till the end of 2025. Our current cash balance is about $13.5 million in flow through, and $6.5 million that we just recently raised in hard dollars. There's another question where Eric Lemieux is asking, can you confirm no royalty on the project? There actually is. We actually did. We're very conservative on that, and we did say that there is a 1.5% royalty on the project. So I think that question was asked also last time. And what is the total capex for the ramp? Jonathan, can you help me on this one here? It says, what is the total capex for the ramp infrastructure? And this includes to a depth of 1.4 kilometers.
Obviously, the capex portion of the ramp is not to the full depth of 1.4 kilometers. We do have a cost of 130 mil in capex period for all of the mining development and the open pit mining as well. We'll need to come back to you, Eric, to be more specific on isolating the ramp portion into this under 30 million capex.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan. So the other one is, can you? So the other question is, do you want to go in production or sell the project? That's a good question, but the important thing is just keep moving forward and de-risking the project. The most important thing as management and board members is to bring in the maximum, whatever is best for the shareholders. So at this point, what's important is to continue moving forward on this.
We got another question just came in that I'm seeing. When will the full report be available? So a good question. The full report for today's PEA will be filed on SEDAR within the next 45 days. So it should be before the end of the year. Are the Denise and high grade zones still open at depth? Yes, absolutely. The high grade zone still remains open at depth. Today's PEA has been defined down to a vertical depth of 1.4 kilometers. However, our deepest drill hole did make an intercept at 1.6 kilometers that still had high grade mineralization within it. So by no means is the high grade zone closed at depth at all. As well as the Denise zone remains open at depth. So that's definitely a target for future drilling. If there, I've got a few coming in, so it's jumping up and down. If there is $100 million profit, what would be done with it? I would let you answer that one.
Yeah, that's really forward looking. Look, the free cash flow, we're looking at about an average of about $133 million, $133 million a year. That's pretty much that's something to be answered. That's, you know, at some time in the future. When do you expect more drilling results? Yes, we are drilling right now. We have 2 drills on site that are continuously drilling. The geological team is working on with many tools doing compilation and hoping to target you know, in order to properly target resources where, you know, where there's gaps in the stope shapes, and also making new discoveries.
I think it also said where are we drilling at the moment, so I can answer that question. So at the moment, the 2 drill rigs are working on expanding the Gratien and Grey Cat zones. So if we look back at that 3D image of where all the stopes were, we've identified numerous gaps in today's stopes simply due to a lack in drilling in certain places. That if we can continue to add ounces in those areas, we'll be able to add to the PEA stopes, the economic stopes, and the more ounces we can continue to add close to surface, the more profitable the operation will become. So that's where the rigs are at the moment.
Yeah, the question about what pits gets mined first in the pre-production. I mean, I believe we said that in the first 4 years, all the pits end up getting mined out because we need the space for the race rock.
Yeah, and in terms of which ones get mined pre-production, Jonathan, did you know exactly which ones they were? Otherwise, I would assume that they would be the ones closest to the processing plant.
The smallest pit to be mined in the production is the water pit and the one next to it. Just have to.
So, Jonathan, there's a question for you. They're asking, was any mining dilution included, and if so, what?
15, yeah.
What percentage?
Around a 15% dilution.
15% dilution or 50? 15.
15.
Okay, 15.
Out of the average width of 5.7 meters.
Thank you. So there's a question that came in that we're in this report, we're using about 1.1 million ounces, and we reported 1.6 million ounces in the MRE. It's not a question of missing the ounces, it's a question of optimization, profitability. What you want to do is pay off, is make you want to optimize the mine as profitable as possible to pay it off as quickly as possible, which is what we did. So that's where those ounces they will be included in later reports. But that's really where that went. Lance, what is your plan on the VMS deposit? What was important to us is to show that this is a standalone mine. You can move this forward. At some point, we will look into drilling out the VMS deposit. Just to remind people, it is just 4 kilometers to the east of us. The old Normatal mine, it had 10 million tons at 2.2% with lead zinc, silver, and gold credits. But what was important, what was really important for us is to show that we have a gold mine that we can put into production. And there will be some silver credits. We haven't even included that. The metallurgy is so amazing on this project. We didn't want to start confusing anything, about using gold equivalents with other stuff. The VMS deposit will be something that we will work on separately.
I think
so Aaron, the next one is probably for you. It says, where do you see the most exploration potential upside on the property? I mean, I would say increasing all the known zones already, like all of them, including Denise. And you've got the whole western part of that Beaupré block that hasn't seen many holes at all. And when you look at the southern part of it, I'll let you, since you've got the graph up there, and when you look at the southern part, which is the Normatal South block, that's your inside volcanics there. And for gold, there hasn't been one drill hole that has gone in there. So that's where we see the most upside on the property right now. I've got another question that says mine recovery. You want to touch on that, Jonathan? I'm not
talk about that. Yes, for sure. We have 98 recovery of ore into the pit. We have 95 for the underground, the stope, the drill down hole, and 80% for the upper holes.
I think we missed a question from Alan before as well. The design of the underground workings for the high-grade zone goes down 1,400 meters. Does the resource include all of that material? I would imagine so, right, Jonathan?
Apologize. Can you repeat that, Alan?
The design of the underground workings for the high grade zone goes down to 1,400 meters. Does the resource include all that material?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a question about permits. It goes, you have all, do you have all permits, and how was the situation with the First Nation? So it's not just dealing with the First Nation. We deal with the First Nation and the community. The relations are very good. We've been with them for the last 5-6 years. Permits, yes, we have all our permits to drill and do all the exploration programs. But when we're talking about permitting environmental, we are moving forward, and you'll have to look at future press releases. We're definitely going to move. We're definitely going to move forward on that. We're definitely going to move forward on that.
Another question from Alan. Any comments about the high margin gold projects in development? The metrics seem to put you in an excellent position relative to other gold development projects with PEAs, especially in a jurisdiction like Quebec. Did you want to answer that one, Victor?
Excellent position. Well, look, when I look, Quebec is a very good jurisdiction. I mean, there is a mining law. Follow the mining laws, and check all the boxes, and you should move this forward. When you look at this project, it really is a high margin project, and it's I think this project is really in an excellent position. When you look at there's another question that tells us, can you tell us more about the permitting work? Again, the permitting work is basically with time, like over the next few months or so, you will see. You will see we're starting work on permitting. Again, it's a question of de-risking the project and checking all the boxes basically. And for all the permitting, you'll see this in future press releases. There's a question about an EIA that where no EIA is required. I don't believe the EIA is required because we're using 1,750 tons. What it is you most likely will skip the BAP, the BAPE, but not the EIA is going to be required regardless on above 2,000 or below 2,000.
Can't view any more questions that are coming in for the moment. Just as a reminder for everyone, the 3D presentation will be uploaded to our website. If people wanted to have a further look themselves, you can download the presentation and move everything around yourself if you're interested to take a deeper dive on the infrastructure coming out of today's PEA.
All right, so I think we're and any other questions that weren't answered, feel free to contact us, and we'll if we can answer them, it'll definitely be our pleasure to answer them.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for joining us today for a bit more information on today's PEA announcement. Thanks for spending the time with us to take a deeper dive into it. And as Victor said, if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to either the info@amexexploration.com email, and one of us will try to get back to you as soon as we can. I think we'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.